Mobile diagnostics is one area of our industry that continues to grow. In addition to providing programming and other specialized services, these hired guns are often called in to diagnose problem vehicles for their client shops. And if you get a chance to talk to these specialists, they'll often share that there's really nothing special in what they do. In fact, they tell me that in 80% of the cases, the jobs that they're called in to diagnose should have been able to be diagnosed in-house. So what's the difference between the hired gun and the tech in the shop that they're servicing? They tell me it focuses on a few key areas. One of those areas that they share with me is that they find that the technicians in the shops they're called to help are often lacking in a solid understanding of the fundamentals, especially when it comes to electrical troubleshooting. Another distinguishing characteristic of the professional mobile diagnostician is a passion for continuing education. They'll share with you in a moment that technology is changing so fast in our industry, there's no way you can keep up unless you keep up with your training. Another observation that my mobile diag friends tell me is that they often see a lack of a process in place in the shop that they're called in to help. In other words, there's no step-by-step logical diagnostic process to follow that would help lead them to the cause of the problem. This 2018 Class C motorhome will make a good example. It's built on a Chevy Express 4500 chassis and the check engine light is on. The first step in the process is to verify the concern. It's easy enough to see the mill is lit up on the dashboard, so the next step is to connect a scan tool to see what caused the light to come on. Here's a question for you. Do you know what module or modules actually have control over the check engine light? It's part of understanding the fundamentals of how these systems work. Only the ECM, or engine control module, or PCM, the powertrain control module, can turn that warning lamp on. And do you know the difference between an ECM and a PCM? Well, the ECM controls only engine management functions, while the PCM incorporates the transmission controls into the engine control module. And do you know what the ECM's primary job is? Its main role is related to emissions. Its whole purpose is to make sure that the emissions from the vehicle remains at or above the level that the vehicle was originally certified to. It does this by monitoring the exhaust gases and then adjusting ignition and fuel as necessary to keep that emissions within range. As you've heard me say before, if you have the capability to perform a full system scan, you should, and for a couple of good reasons. Should a problem appear soon after your customer leaves your shop, who do you think they're going to blame? By checking all the systems on their vehicle, you can bring any that you find to them first, avoiding that comeback and perhaps even earning additional service business. Now in the Chevy's case, we have multiple codes stored, but that's part of the fundamentals. While we have codes stored for the intake air temperature sensor, the barometric pressure sensor, and the mass airflow sensor, I know that it's all contained in one component, the MAF sensor. Now before I go any further, it's time to go back in the shop and do a little homework. One of the very first things that I like to check is for any technical service bulletins, or TSBs, that may have been issued by the factory and are related to the problem that I'm troubleshooting. Often, the fix is a software update, and if that's the case here, I could spend all day troubleshooting. I'm never going to find the problem. So if I don't find any answers in the TSB listings, my next stop is to check the code definitions and setting criteria for each of the codes that I'm working with. Now, I want to think like the ECM does here. What test or tests did it make that allowed these codes to set? If I can duplicate those tests in my troubleshooting, I can get that much closer to the answer. And another thing I want to pay attention to is, Are there any commonalities among the setting criteria, among the codes? If I can find that common thread, that might take me even closer to the answer I'm looking for. Now, as you may have noted from the last few trainer videos I've done, the Autel MS919 offers a variety of features. One I'd like to share with you today is their intelligent diagnostics option. Choosing this option, you can get a lot of the information you want in one place, and that saves you time and in turn makes you money. On the left is the list of TSBs that are related to the codes the scan tool read in the full system scan. These may or may not be related to the specific vehicle I'm working on, but they are all worth a look. If I don't find my answer here, I'll move over one column to the DTC analysis. Here, I'll find the conditions and criteria the ECM uses in its decision to set a code or not. And since I'm dealing with multiple codes, I'll keep an eye out for commonalities between them. Scroll down a bit and you'll find a few more nice features in the MS919. The first you'll come to is the Repair Tips window, offering ideas based on real-world repairs that solved issues similar to yours. Below that is the component measurement section that will help you test the components related to the DTCs you're troubleshooting using the MS919's built-in 4-channel lab scope. In this case, we have a few choices. Let's take a look at the MAF frequency signal option. Opening the selection will bring up the tool's scope screen with a sample pattern displayed and the scope settings already set for the sensor component that you're going to test. Clicking the little light bulb will open a window that guides you in connecting your scope. And then you can make the scope function live in order to test the sensor or component on your customer's vehicle. Now, troubleshooting aids like these will help reduce your overall diagnostic time. And it's all incorporated into one tool. And granted, you're not going to be working on RVs like this every day. And you may have noticed that there's one tab that I have yet to share, and that's the one labeled Repair Assist. This is a valuable resource. It's like having a mobile tech hanging over your shoulder, guiding you through the troubleshooting process. And to show you how this works, I'm going to turn us over to my good friend at Autel, Chad Schnitz.
Thanks, Pete. When we're talking about Repair Assist, it's all about giving you, the technician, more information, the test process, step-by-step guided tests, and having all the bidirectional controls already built in to the process. And we're going to do that on this 3 Series BMW as our test mule. And oh, by the way, it has adaptive headlight issues, which is quite a shocker. So we can see that we already have a lot of codes in this vehicle. So we're going to select Intelligent Diagnostics, and then we're going to select Repair Assist. When you look at the Repair Assist on the very top, you're already going to see that there's a priority function. That priority is going to tell us what codes to focus on first and which ones maybe aren't as important. The priority is going to prioritize, as said, our codes that we should focus on first. And you can see that a lot of these are footwell module codes. But the one that I want to focus on is this xenon lamp and daytime running lights. So we're going to go ahead and select the arrows at the right. You'll see the first screen that pops up actually gives us a circuit diagram for this complete system. And this just goes to show us that we're going to start testing a whole bunch of electrical issues on this setup to make sure we have the powers and grounds and the signals that we have coming back and forth. So we want to see what that circuit diagram looks like, but just a little bit bigger. So we can select those arrows down in the bottom corner, and you'll see that we can zoom in on this circuit. This is a vector style picture, so you can zoom in as far as you want to be able to see the information as best as possible. We can see the power window drive motor, we can see the power window drive motor side, and all the different components that come into play in this different system. We can see that they are fed by a 7.5 amp fuse all the way through the body domain controller. So this is critical information, and it's one less step for us having to go out to our repair and diagnostic information. We can get it directly here from the tool. Also, as we go through this process and have to do these measurements, whether it be voltage or waveform signals, the tool will give us the option for measure. And when we select that measure icon, it will automatically take us to the DVOM or to the built-in 4-channel lab scope. And when we get to that point, it will automatically set that up for us to measure those different components. So we know that we have the right setup, and it shows us how to connect to those different components for the different measurement possibilities, making it one easy step from guided function testing to guided measurement testing with our circuit diagrams already built into the tool. And that's what Repair Assist is all about, giving you, the technician, the guidance and a one-stop shop to be able to fix that car right the first time and not have to throw parts at it. Now we can test and verify and then replace. Pete, back to you.
Thanks, Chad. Using the Repair Assist option will help guide you through the diagnostic process and help make you a stronger diagnostician. If you want to find out more about the MS919 or any of the Autel offerings, go to www.autel.com. And as always, thanks for watching.